Durag Diaries, yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a match preview, and I am joined by Stephen from the Toffee Blues, who's here to tell us, Everton have got something for us. Thomas Frank's train has been stopped, and there's a lot of Spurs fans that ain't as confident as we are, and I am one too. So before we get into any of that, just make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but not just mine. Make sure you're showing some love to the Toffee Blues. I'll put their link in the title so you cannot miss it, but also in the description. How are you doing, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a team I hate playing, Tottenham, because you never quite know how it's going to go. We've got a bit of a dodgy record, but no, thanks for having me on. Really excited.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you on, and it's good to talk Everton because they're a team that I've been really impressed with this season. The turn of getting David Moyes back, the return of Jack Grealish back to form, something that I think the Premier League needed, especially in a World Cup year as well. If you are an England fan, I think many people will be looking forward to Jack Grealish being back in his pomp at the World Cup next year. So talk to us. How has it been, the return of David Moyes this year, and also the start of this season?
Well, I think Evertonians can get very frustrated very quickly. If we win one game, that the immediate reaction is, okay, let's win the next game, next game. So when we're not playing well, even if we're in a relegation battle or the Champions League or whatever, it's always like a sort of, we just have to win. We have to win. Anything less than winning is seen as a failure. So, and David Moyes knows that. He's come in and he's really managed to get us playing a bit of good football, and sort of getting the fans back on side, attacking more, having more of a go, winning more games. Sean Dyche's just gone to Nottingham Forest. There's very clear differences that, if it's 1-0 in a game, there's an emphasis to go and get a second, or if it's 0-0, there's an emphasis to go and score, rather than batten down the hatches and try and draw the game. But since he's come back, we've done all right. We've been playing sort of in the higher bits of the league compared to what we were. We're sort of comfortably sitting around 12th, 13th at the minute, but a win at the weekend can put us around 6th, 7th. So I think we're gonna have a good go.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you guys are in a very good position to potentially push on. And we spoke a bit before. You guys, make sure you check out a preview that we done on the Toffee Blues channel as well. But we spoke a bit about, the introduction of a few of these new players that you got, how it's been working out, and how you could potentially push on into that Conference League place this season. Decent start so far. You got a 3-2-3 record, which you could say is impressive. I think last year you started off the season with like 3 wins in 15 games or something like that, and it was a really bad start to season. So for him to start off as good as he has done well. But talk to us a bit about some of these other signings, because you did have quite a big window. Obviously, Grealish, Dibbling, Alcaraz, Barry. There was quite a few players and a lot of movement, especially in that attacking area. How have those new players settled in, and what do you think about the attack so far?
Grealish is. It looks like he's played for us for years, and he hasn't even needed time to bed in or anything. Dibbling looks a bit raw, but he's one that we need to work on. Alcaraz, again, we know what he was like from last year. He's a really good player, and he sort of, he came on against Palace, and I thought he was the best player by a mile. So he's sort of really hungry to get into the team because he's not starting at the moment. Barry hasn't shown much. He looks like he just needs a goal. He needs something to go in off his backside, something like that, because at the moment it looks like the Premier League's just too fast for him and too physical for him, and he's struggling to keep up with it, which can happen, and sometimes it takes a player a bit of time. I'm trying to think of some others. Merlin Roll has come in. We have only seen a little bit of him, but he looks quite promising. And yeah, I think it was a pretty good window for us. Dewsbury Hall was another one who's been top class since he came in. He's sort of playing in more like a number 10 instead of a bit further back. So he plays like the number 10, and he links up really well with Grealish. So he's one that I think is another sort of instance of Grealish needed to come to Everton to be the main man. I think Dewsbury Hall was the same. He knew he wasn't going to play all the games at Chelsea. He's come here and now he's really a leader, similar to Grealish, that he knew he couldn't have been at Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really strong year in the Championship with Leicester before joining Chelsea, which I just thought was a bad move for him overall. I know he was moving along with Maresca and so on, and it seemed like it was going to work out, but he's a top player who has a lot of ability, and I think it's just working out perfectly. Like you said, at a club where it's ready, it's a level that I think works for him. I don't think he was quite ready for that jump to challenge at a team that's going to be playing top four, but come into a team that's now sort of mid-table, but still have that ability to potentially play in Europe. And the difference maker is him and a few other players. He's one of the better players in the team, so I think he fits in there perfectly. But let's just bring it to Spurs a bit, and let me know your thoughts on what the start of the season has been for Thomas Frank and Spurs, because obviously it's been a fairly decent start, similar to your own, but we've got, I think, 14 points in our first 8 games, so it's not been amazing, but it's not been bad. What have your thoughts been on Spurs so far?
Well, last year Spurs did me head in because I thought there's so much quality in this team, and I think throwing away points constantly with throwing away points. When Thomas Frank got the job, I thought that's such a good appointment because everyone knows what a great manager he is. And this season, it's sort of living up to my expectations. I think he's got a really young side that he's sort of still coaching to play his way. You know, we're only 5, 6 games in, so yeah, it's one that I hope Tottenham can do a bit better because I think with the demands of the supporters, I think they'll be expecting a bit better. The likes of Tell, Bergval, and you know, players like that. I think it's a new Tottenham. There isn't a case of, I know you've probably heard this loads, there isn't the case of resting on the likes of Harry Kane or Heung-min Son. It's more of a good all-round team that I expect to do well, physical team. And I think for Tottenham, I know you would have not been expecting to lose against Aston Villa. I was shocked when I saw that result. But I think all in all, it's coming round a bit more in the league type of thing. Whether Tottenham can be successful in Europe and the league is remains to be seen. You've got to, you know, see how they get on in that sense, because you know you did obviously the best you could in the Europa League, but of course you had to sacrifice your league positions. So let's have a look and see how Tottenham can get on. But look, Thomas Frank's a great manager. He's one that I would have loved at Everton if we hadn't have had David Moyes back. But yeah, I think from what I've seen, I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, we got to balance the competitions. That's definitely a problem because you know you got to have a big enough squad to play all those competitions, but make sure you're rotating at the right times and make sure you're not picking up sustained long injuries. It's a hard thing to manage, and especially for a manager like you say, Thomas Frank. He's a very good coach, but has never really managed at this level. So he's getting used to sort of playing 2 games a week as the team is, because it's still a very young team. So there's still a lot working out. There is still a lot working out at Spurs, and that's where when we come to this game, it could be a perfect mix of chaos that could potentially fall in your favor or ours. Because Spurs are in a bit of a tough spot at the moment. In our last 2 games, we are without a win. You guys have obviously only played 1 in that time, but dropped points to City in your last one before beating Palace at home in the game prior to that. Going into this game, how are you feeling for the opposition of Spurs? Do you think that you guys can bounce back from the game against City? Because it wasn't really a bad performance. I just think City were just better than you, and they showed the quality in that. That's ultimately what they do.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Erling Haaland doesn't win, you know, the most goals in Europe, I don't understand. I think he's just the greatest goal scorer that we've seen in this country. So it's inevitable that you're going to concede goals when he's playing against you. And yeah, I mean, not the worst performance, but just one where a little bit of quality just sets you apart. With regards to this weekend, I honestly, like I said, I'm a bit unsure because Tottenham we have a bit of a dodgy record against. But then again, that being said, I think there will be a big emphasis to bounce back after last week, and of course being at home again. at Hill Dickinson Stadium. We've got a brilliant record so far. We're just going to want to carry that on and get another win. So yeah, I think I'm confident. The stadium brings a lot of confidence to the supporters, and it feels like we get that edge. I'm talking like Brighton, where they got a penalty to get back into the game, and Welbeck missed it. It felt like very much like the stadium sort of bought us that, and it was the same with the last minute winner against Palace. That was just kicked against Jack Grealish to go into the net. We're getting a slice of luck at the new stadium, so I'm hoping it carries through.
Yeah, I feel like that happens when you got that new stadium, Phil. We know just a couple of years ago when we had our new stadium, it's like at first you feel a bit lucky. You go on these little runs and it's like you're breaking a record and it's record and we're keeping a record and it's like, yeah, it's the feel good factor. So it could. I'm generally worried about that side of things, and I'm someone who believes in superstition. So when teams haven't scored and it's like, oh, they've got this record, I'm like, yo, this. I don't want to go there and start breaking things up because I don't know if that's going to work out for us. But I am looking ahead to this game. I think it's going to be very difficult. I think you guys are defensively sound. The one thing that both our managers are very similar in is they come in and their first foundation is making sure you don't concede goals. Let's try and concede the least amount of goals as possible and then build out from there. Be a bit direct in the football. That's one thing both our teams can relate upon as well. And to sort of focus out on those wider areas. Both of our best players will be in those wider, for Grealish on that left channel, but Kudus on that right channel. So I think both of us are looking at having very similar game plans. And that's when I'm looking at this game. And me personally, I'm finding it hard to believe that Tottenham can win this one, just because I think we're going up against a team who's going to match us game plans wise, going to match us physicality wise, because you have a very physical team, especially in that midfield, but also match us quality wise, because I think in the areas we have quality, you have quality. The only bit where I can lean on us being a little bit better is defensively. But even then again, I think with no Romero, how good will our defense be? We don't know. Who is the biggest, I suppose, outside of the obvious, which would be Kudus? Who's the biggest player that you think could be a threat this weekend for Tottenham?
Well, I think, like you said, we're two very similar teams, aren't we? We both talked about having problems in the number 9 position. So you said you're not sure if it's going to be Kolo Muani or Richarlison. I said I think both Beto and Barry just aren't hitting the target. They're not doing well. But in our midfields, Javi Simmons, Jack Grealish, Iliman Ndiaye, Mohamed Kudus, that's where the game's going to be won and lost for me. I would say that the defences are very similar as well. I think if you had Romero coming in, then you'd edge it out in the defence. But without having Romero, who's Tottenham's leader, it's going to be one of those where you're not quite sure what's going to happen. As well, the fact that Michael Keane's been a lot better this season. Left back's a troubled area for us, so I think it's going to be two teams that are just going to struggle to play against each other, because it's going to be a case of two very similar ones, and that's why I said 0-0 on our channel. I think, like I said, I know it, like you said, the obvious one, but I think I'm struggling to look past that midfield of Tottenham. Odegaard as well. Looking past them, Palhinha's one that I really like, because we were linked with him, and I watched a bit of him at Bayern Munich. So yeah, I think there's so much quality in both midfields that that's where the game's going to be won and lost.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the game could definitely be won and lost in that midfield. Whoever does good enough to sort of progress that ball through to them, the key players in the wingers, or sort of a Drewsbury Hall in that 10, Xavi Simmons in the 10, whoever does well enough to sort of make sure that their best players are getting on the ball the most, I think could win or edge the game. But like you said, 0-0. I'm saying 1-1, people. I think both of us have just got to be in a draw. We're very similar. We're in very good moments. We're not in, both of us ain't in the great moments at this moment. Neither of us are in form. We're both looking to come back off the loss of off the back of a loss in the Premier League in our last game. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough watch, I think, as well. I don't think it's going to be the most exhilarating game and the most expansive game when you talk about football-wise. But let's just hope that one of our teams can make us win. Like I want to see my team win. You want to see your team win. Let's hope it isn't a draw. I mean, I want to see one of us eventually fall apart.
Yeah, like, of course, it's probably not going to be the most I mean, we could be completely wrong, couldn't we? But it might not be the most exhilarating match. But I think if you're a neutral and you really enjoy, the tactical side of football, I think it's going to be one that you're really going to like. Because there's going to be a lot of quality on show, and I think that's why it's probably been chosen to telly. And yeah, it's going to be a good match if you're a neutral. I think it's going to be a bit of a nail biter for both of us, though.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
most definitely. I think it's going to be very tight and not a lot will split us. But look, people, that's just been a nice quick match preview. Big up to Stephen. Appreciate you for coming on. Where can the people find you outside of the Toffee bubble if they wanted to just check into your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can go on. Of course, Toffee Blues is at Everton Newsfeed. Um, of course, you can follow me on Twitter, Stephen A. Hornby. I don't really do much on Twitter anymore. But of course, I write some match previews as well over on my website, Stephen Hornby Portfolio. And apart from that, really, you can pretty much find me doing the opposition views, talking to different fans on our channel. So yeah, when your team eventually does come across, I'll try and speak to a supporter from your club. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Jords. It's been loads of fun.
No, it's been a real pleasure. So yeah, people, look, make sure you go check that out, the Toffee Blues. The link is in the title. It's also in the description, so you cannot miss it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Spurs are going to win? Do you think Everton are going to win? What are your predictions for the game? What are your key standout players? Let us know in the comment section. And also make sure you smash a like on the way out. But yeah, man, look, it's been another match preview. Until next time, people, it's your boy Durag Diaries.